Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My executive director told me to take a deep breath, so I will. Thank you. For the record, my name is Penni Cyr. I'm a teacher and the elected president of the Idaho Education Association. I'm here today to testify on behalf of our teacher members who teach in virtually every building around the state and who strongly oppose this legislation. IEA members believe that this bill would severely water down excuse me, the master teacher premium portion of the career ladder and would represent a broken promise to the teachers of Idaho. The master teacher premiums were put into place when the legislature opted not to follow the recommendation of the governor's task force on improving education, which was, as Senator Ward Engelking stated, to establish a $60,000 top rung of the career ladder. Instead, the legislature limited the top rung to $50,000 and put the master teacher premium into law in lieu of that additional $10,000 on the career ladder. The master teacher premiums were designed to do two things. One, give teachers who wanted to go through the process an opportunity to earn an additional $4,000 per year in lieu of that $10,000, $60,000 step. And two, using the portfolio system, establish a means for teachers to showcase their proficiency and their expertise, leading to better student outcomes and the increased accountability desired by the legislature. Idaho teachers have taken the word of the legislature at face value. The passage of this bill would equate to pulling the rug out from under the feet of teachers who are already into the first year of this process, 33% towards achieving these goals. Idaho teachers have worked in good faith and have relied upon the legislature to keep its promise. And teachers are keeping theirs. They're planning and they're creating their portfolios in accordance with the Master Teacher Premium Plan, a plan developed by a well-respected and well-informed committee. While teachers were hesitant at first, many teachers have embraced this concept, seeing both the opportunity to increase compensation that will help Idaho recruit and retain top teachers, and the benefit it can provide for their students and their classrooms. If, as we've heard around these halls, the legislature believes that the Master Teacher Premium Plan is not affordable, and the legislature is truly concerned about the demands of the portfolio process on teachers, as well as those charged with evaluating the portfolios, then we strongly urge you to revert to the original task force recommendation and create a $60,000 rung on the career ladder, as was advised by that task force. Through commitment and collaboration, Idaho has taken significant steps forward over the last couple of years in its efforts to recruit and retain highly qualified teachers. Along with our teachers, it's our students and our communities who will ultimately reap the rewards of the career ladder and the master teacher premiums. It would be a mistake to move the goalposts by backtracking on these positive steps. We urge the members of this committee to validate the promises made to Idaho teachers and oppose this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and with that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Cyr. Questions from the committee? Ms. Cyr, I have a question, please.
Thank you.
In regards to that item B that's been stricken, what are the specific differences that you see in Section B versus these 4 paragraphs, 4 to 5 paragraphs, that make it such that you don't see that it doesn't fit into that Section B? If you could please be specific, it would help. Specific, it could help, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think Senator Ward Ingleking has spoken to this, but what we see in the stricken language as part of the whole original master teacher premium was that teachers could work with their districts and make a decision, do we want to do this as a whole plan or not? What the changes are, number one, it requires the districts and the school boards to make the decision with one or two teacher representatives to make the decision for teachers. So if I were in Moscow High School and I chose to do the portfolio, and I working on it right now, building my portfolio, and this passes and my school decides that they want to provide this to a group of teachers or whatever, my work has gone to naught. So that's one of the things. Another difference is a conversation was spoken about the 25%. In the original bill, there was no 25%. In the new language in this bill, there is a restriction to 25%. It's on page 3, lines 15, 16, 17, where it speaks to restricting this to 25%. Another difference is that the language of the new language in the alternative says which staff will receive the money. So the district can choose which staff will receive the money and what amounts of money shall be paid. So in other words, the promise to teachers was if they meet the steps of the master teacher premium, they will get $4,000 a year for 3 years and have the opportunity to continue that. This bill says the district gets to decide how much. In Mr. Kirby's conversation, or Representative Kirby's conversation, he was referring to the teacher leadership premiums and the creative ways that districts have used that. That's an entirely different thing than these premiums. I also would like to say with the thought of a teacher being awarded or not, I'm a nationally board certified teacher. I had to go through a process, a very rigorous process, in order to earn my national board certification and be judged by my peers whether or not I should receive that. I was in a cohort with another teacher who didn't receive the master teacher premium. There weren't white faces. There weren't people who were shocked because not everybody who tried got it. It was an understanding that you have to meet certain criteria. Teachers understand that you have to meet certain criteria. I could go on.
Ms. Cyr, please, and I'm going to ask you some questions because I think it's important that we have your input. And if you don't mind, committee, I'd like to just ask a couple more questions. So if this legislation, if you were to use the local school districts may develop plans and put that down to where a local school district board of trustees may, if you put that same language under the heading of this, and also put that same language over here, the local school districts may decide or choose in this item 3, is that what you're trying to tell me, is that it's that language specifically that's important to you? Ms. Cyr.
Specifically, it's important that each individual teacher gets to decide if they are going to attempt to get the $4,000 master teacher premium, which is what the legislature said. In that section that was stricken, it says that those teachers may make that choice as a group. Those teachers may make that choice as a group. It doesn't say the district shall make the choice for them. I think that's a huge difference.
Ms. Cyr, thank you again for that input. So I'm going to come back to the original legislation itself. So assuming that a group of teachers, as you're reading it, assuming a group of teachers were to decide that they were going to, groups may be school-wide or smaller groups such as grade levels or subject matter, how would you interpret item B, and how would that money be divided if a group of teachers decided that they wanted to do that? And as you interpret our current statute.
And I understand what you're, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I understand the question is, should there be 5 teachers in a third grade group that were working together and perhaps only 4 portfolios met the criteria? My interpretation would be that group worked together, they supported each other as teachers do, such as in learning communities or different things like that, and such as I did in my cohort of National Board teachers, but one teacher didn't make the mark or the grade because their portfolio didn't make it. So the 4 that got it would get their $4,000 premium, and the other teacher would attempt to correct or improve and try for it again the next year.
Ms. Cyr, again, I appreciate you because, you know, I appreciate the perspective that you're trying to get us to. And so I want to make sure that I understand what you're trying to teach me when it comes to that section. So as you're discussing that section, you're indicating that, let's assume that in order for any group to be together, it had to be a group of master teachers? Is that what you're teaching me in order to fit into that item B? Ms. Cyr, please.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that any teacher can choose to attempt to meet the criteria for the master teacher portfolio based on, we still don't have a rubric, which is a problem, but based on whatever rubric is determined. Right now, they have the plan, and they are building portfolios to the best of their ability based on the plan, using student data, using their teaching expertise, using their lesson plans. I guess what I'm saying, Senator, is that to me, Part B says that I can do this all by myself and hope that I will meet the criteria and get designated master teacher and get the premium. Or I can choose, perhaps with my administrator sitting there, or whatever, but the choice again would be up to the teachers, that perhaps I'd like to work in a group of teachers. We can all come together monthly, work on our ideas, help each other with ideas for their portfolio, what's of all this student data, what would be the best data to put in my portfolio, etc. So to work together and each create their own portfolio. I see this original bill all along as every teacher submitting their own personal portfolio for the master teacher premium, even if they're working together in a group.
So, Ms. Cyr, just to make sure I heard you correctly, which I think I did, you're indicating that this section does not allow any group of teachers to work together to share a master teacher's premium. You're saying that a group may work together to assist an individual to earn a master premium, but that assistance is a way of working together for assistance. It's not a none of the compensation itself is shared in that item B.
It doesn't speak, I don't think, and I read through it, but I don't think item B speaks to sharing of compensation. It also doesn't say that the compensation may be less than $4,000. It doesn't say that the compensation will be up to the district to determine how much the teacher gets. It provides a way for teachers to work together to submit their portfolio and in an attempt to receive the $4,000. I think very clearly in the new language, while they've taken this language and put it down below, they have also put many sidebars on it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cyr. Questions? Yes, Senator Guthrie.
Well, Mr. Chairman, a comment.
Yes,
Ms. Cyr, you can respond if you want, or Mr. Chairman, you can gavel me down if you want. But I mean this in the most positive way, because I think we do have to figure out if we're going to award this kind of money, some criteria based on how we do that. But I've heard some comments about presentations teaching how to build portfolios. And so my question is kind of twofold. You hear about testing or teaching to the test all the time. Are we building portfolios to meet a stipend? I mean, and then the second part of that is, are we risking taking away instructional time for this effort?
Ms. Cyr, please.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Guthrie, no, I think the answer is no to both of your questions. And let me just, because I know the National Board certification process, and I built 4 portfolios for the National Board process, based on community, based on classroom instruction, based on collaboration, and I'm sorry, it's been a while, I forget the 4th one. But I had a series of prompts or questions which I needed to do a lot of self-reflection. I needed to videotape myself in instruction. I needed to show collaboration and how that worked and how students improved, et cetera, in my National Board certification. I believe that the Master Teacher Premium is very similar to that, and in fact, in the IEA's class where we are working with teachers to build their portfolio, we are saying that it's extremely similar, although I believe the National Board certification is more rigorous. I have 2 suggestions for you all. Change this to National Board certification and up the premium to $4,000 a year for 5 years instead of $2,000 a year. Teachers have to pay to do that, and then you'll know if they really want to do it, and it's a tough process. I'm sorry, Senator Guthrie, second half of your question was?
Senator Guthrie, repeat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cyr. Other questions? Yes. Senator Ward Engelking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just maybe to alleviate a little bit of Senator Guthrie's angst over that, it's best practices. Most teachers, when you go in for an evaluation, you have a portfolio with you. You demonstrate that you've had parent communication, interactive communication with your parents. You may have a video clip of your teaching. You may have demonstrations of student work that you want your principal to see, to show what exciting things you're doing in the classroom. It's part of what we do, and we do self-reflection. Did this work? No. This one's going out. This lesson's out. I'm not doing that one again. But we do that anyway, just so you can be not so concerned.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Ms. Cyr, would you like to comment
Just
for a
the
moment?
second part of the question, will it take away from classroom time? And no, it doesn't. I can tell you how many evenings and weekends I gathered the data, but I did my work at home on my own time. Teachers are there teaching children, and I don't think you should worry about that.
Thank you, Ms. Cyr.
Thank you very much.